From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and Chief Digital Strategist at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's show, I have Chris Hallberg with me, and we're going to talk about Go Expand. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. Today I've got my guest, Mr. Chris Hallberg, with me, and we're going to talk all about his product, Go Expand, and coaching and all that good stuff, and dive into one of the most interesting stories I've heard in a long time. Hey Chris, how you doing?
Rob, thank you so much for having me on the show, and happy birthday. Thank you for spending the day with me today.
Oh, thank you. It's as a time to record. Yeah, I'm celebrating another birthday. I'm like 14 again for the 27th or 28th time. And, that's just the way it is. So before we dive in, and we were talking last week, and I wanted to dive in. Your story's just so interesting. So tell me a little bit about your background, your story, what you've done, if you don't mind, if you could. Thanks.
Yeah, so my first career was in public service. I served in a couple of different uniforms. I spent 9 years as a part-time citizen soldier in the Army, National Guard, Military Police, and almost 7 years in full-time civilian law enforcement, Department of Corrections, and a sheriff's department. So put on some uniforms and experienced that side of life and leveraged those experiences and became the business sergeant, where I took that gung-ho, let's go get it, military leadership mindset, if you will, into the civilian business world. Not all of it, because if you act like a military leader in the civilian business world, you'd be in the HR office more than on the floor. But the successful parts with the esprit de corps, that culture and winning teams, and it's not about the money, it's about the impact, or being on a winning team and being willing to sacrifice, like a top sports team, or anything that's special. And I think bringing that mindset in with that same kind of humor and very direct nature of military leadership can be very effective in the civilian business world.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And you mentioned that keyword mindset. You and I were just talking about that again, and it's something you believe in. It's something I certainly believe in. And we were kind of talking, last week and this week. It's a lot of what we do all about mindset, and it's all about taking care of the brain and all about working that through. Those listeners of this show know I'm a big proponent of mindset. I'm a big proponent of therapy. I'm a big proponent of going to see the brain doctor, as I call it, and having those conversations. Why do people not believe in mindset? Why do they not go there?
Well, I think they have gotten to a certain place for whatever reason, and maybe they weren't mindful about that. And then at a certain point, apathy sets in, right? We become apathetic or run out of F's to give, whatever vernacular the folks want to associate with that. And I think we get a little cocky, and I think we're also lucky. And things happen that weren't necessarily designed, but they're fortunate. And we might get a little stodgy and stale and set in our ways back to complacency. And then the world around us changes so quickly, and everyone's mindset is leveling up. And if you're stuck or stagnant in an old mindset, it might not be the version that is successful in the year 2025 going into 2026. So I really think there's an old saying, society rewards like your worst behaviors. And I think once people achieve a certain level of success, meaning when all you want to do is work and crush competition and get deals, and I'll talk to my kids when they're grown, and any of those unhealthy, we realize now Gordon Gekko, greed is good. Think about the 1980s. Think about the dot-coms. In the last 10 or 15 years, entrepreneurs many times can be seen as rock stars. But if anybody actually knew the hours that Elon Musk or insert your favorite entrepreneur right here, like they might not want it. So back to the mindset, like you have to upgrade your mindset. The world around you is upgrading. If you don't upgrade, you might find yourself not as compatible with the world as you once were. That's my philosophy. You got to update to the latest version. What are we on? Windows 11 now or whatever?
Yeah,
Like
Windows
what
11.
version of Rob are we working? You told me your age, but that doesn't mean that's the version you're running.
No, I'm probably running my 20th or 21st or something ungodly like that. Like I have changed, my mind has changed so much. So even in my personal life, and I'll share this with you, I went through a divorce and a separation about 5 years ago. I have the right person in my life now. There's no question on that, and I smile every day out of it. What I will tell you is I went through a house cleaning expedition in my personal and my business life. So I took um, people in my personal life, some people I've known for 30 years, and say, you don't fit anymore. And that is hard to do. And I had a therapist tell me that I see recently say to me, that takes a lot. And I said, I know, but I had to because it was putting my brain in a spot that I didn't need to be in. And then I've even taken clients as much as 2 weeks ago and said, I'm not renewing a contract because you're the wrong fit. Oh, but no, you're the wrong fit. Would you not understand? And the fact that you think otherwise, that's your issue. That's not my issue. So what I'm saying is, and that's all part of the mindset discussion. We need to take care of that. And we need to recognize that things change. And what wasn't a fit 10 years ago might not be a fit now. And working all the time is not the answer. Been there, done that. I worked in healthcare for 21 years. My average work week was 65 hours. I was a team leader and on call all the time and had a young son and wasn't, and it just went on and went on and went on. And the best thing that happened to me was when they decided they didn't need me and I went and opened up my agency because then I was doing what I wanted when I wanted to do it. Now I still work. I still work all kinds of hours and stuff like that. The biggest thing is I'm not working 60 hours a week anymore. And that's a mindset change too, because at the end of the day, are the people around you going to be better off for the hours you work or better off for the time you spent with them? And that's the question I would say you should ask yourself.
Yeah, I mean, what's your number one? And
Yeah.
like the work life balance, right? So I don't know where I heard this, probably stole it from someone else, so apologies. But I think the balance assumes one is much better than the other, and I think
Yeah.
those that look for a work life blend is more what I'm thinking of, where you get to be you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, but it complements you, right? So if you like
Yeah.
to talk to people and meet people and you work in marketing and you're great at networking, then that doesn't feel like work because it's your innate natural ability. Like if you hate selling, it gives you the hives and you just took a commission only position, you're going to be a pretty miserable human being, right? Unless you love sales. I only want to work 5 hours a day and I want to be in the most uncomfortable selling positions all day long because I know how to close those. Like that's for you. So like back to what you were saying just a moment ago, like your mindset, I mean your thoughts become your words and your words become your actions become your beings. And I think one thing I've learned, just I'm 52 years old, be 53 at the end of this year, and I'm talking about old dogs and new tricks. I disagree. This old dog is learning many new tricks. And if you would have told 35-year-old Chris any of this stuff, he would have been like, I got stuff to do. I'm building. I'm building for my family. I'm in acquisition mode. When I'm a little grayer, like I almost knew like that wisdom will find me later. And now that the grays are coming in, and I'm looking back, and it's like, man, there's some things I definitely would have done differently. It's nice to have some financial stability. It's nice to have this or that. So all that effort was certainly worthwhile, but at what cost? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some things that I'm having to work on now that might not be so much work if I had put the correct time into them at the right time. So like we're all doing our level best anyways, but let's not stumble through life and just go from one accident to the next. Like I get some people believe your life is already planned. Like that's out there a little ways, right? But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you have the life you deserve. You have the company you deserve. You have the spouse you deserve. Like this isn't a dress rehearsal. The lights are on, the cameras are rolling. Like whatever's happening, it's your life. And you got to
Yeah.
own that. And if you want to change it, you need to be intentional. So we go from mindset, right, to intentionality, which is a
Yeah.
huge part. It's not an accident. I'm going to speak kindly to myself because, quite frankly, that was the thing that I've recently learned that, like, being your toughest critic, that doesn't really help you out. Like, the world is full of
No,
critics. You
me.
don't you don't
Me.
need to be. So let's speak kinder to ourselves. Did I make a mistake on something I didn't follow up? Yes, I did. I got to own that one, but that's sticking in my craw right now. I am follow-up machine because I let one go and I'm better than that and I'm done like beating myself up, but I'm going to take that lesson and I'm going to change behaviors because I don't want to feel like that again. So it's okay to make mistakes, just not the same one 34, 47 times, right?
Yeah, so true. And the other thing that really helps with kind of looking at mistakes and looking at feelings, and then we'll kind of dive more in, is write a journal. Like try it. If you haven't done it, I've been doing, oh, I've been doing journaling probably for 30 years in one form or another. I started doing books. I moved somewhere to computerize like just a document file. And then I moved to an app. And honestly, I journal every day, whether it's 10 sentences or 3 pages, depends on the mood I'm in. People always ask me, can I read it? The answer is no, not happening, because it's also the vent of all your frustration. It's the vent. Most of it, a lot of it's unprintable, if you know what I mean. So, and I just say, no, I will share things out of it, but try that. And like take the time and look after yourself, because honestly, if you don't, your business world's not any good, your personal life's not any good, and then the whole thing's a mess, right? So
Yeah.
um, to move on, so you ended up into this product go expand, but before that, you ended up in the coaching. How did that all come about, kind of?
Yeah, well, exited my last business in 2011, which is an energy efficient remodeling business in
Yeah.
Minneapolis, St. Paul, where you need some insulation. If you've ever been there in February, you know what I'm talking about.
It's full.
Yeah, it's really cold and for a very long time. So, to make homes more sustainable, comfortable, and provide an accelerated ROI through substantial energy savings and at the time, government tax credits. So,
Yep.
2008 and 9, as you recall, was the Great Recession. It wasn't a great time to start a multi-million dollar construction firm, but no one told me that. And I, just went about it in a different way and created an energy efficient angle. And with the tax credits, it was very, very successful in a time where the industry wasn't doing well. So taking that experience, exiting just in a couple of years, because the system I created was replicatable, and that was the thing of value. The marketing and sales process that was very different than how
Yeah.
everyone else was doing it was valuable. So I sold it for a royalty arrangement that I enjoyed for a number of years. So it was really a really sweet deal. But I also had a non-compete, couldn't do what I was doing for a number of years in my location. So I had to do something else. So what do most founders do after an exit? They take some time away. I was going to take 6 months. After about 6 weeks, my lovely wife said, I think it's time. I think it's time. Because my energy was not great around the house. So I immediately started looking at things. I, strangely enough, just got a call, help someone in turn around a business and fly out to Denver, where I now live, for it was about a year assignment to fix the company. And we were able to do that successfully. And while I was going through that process, another business partner of mine back in the Twin Cities was going through EOS or Entrepreneurial Operating System implementation back in Minneapolis and said, wow, this program is really powerful. Chris, you should look at this for your coaching practice. So I did, and didn't take long to look in and to find out how wonderful it was. Had some mutual friends with that organization. So I joined right up, and in early 2014, got my EOS training. Back when there was like 55 of us in the room. Now the community's pushing almost 1,000. And that was 11 and a half years ago. And that coaching program really solidified the results for all of my clients. But pre-EOS had some really great results, had some not great results, and some things in the middle. But once we started following the EOS proven process with each one of these engagement, didn't matter if it was a turnaround, an acquisition, a growth play, any whatever the reason was, the success rate was like 85%. So very, very high success rate. And the only 15% that didn't make it, well, that was because there was a broken human, or, some one of these, an unhealthy founder, will say, something like that, some exigent circumstance outside of the actual team's control. So like it works if you want it to, and having a repeatable, scalable process that was gaining a lot of traction, no pun intended. The Entrepreneurial Operating System is given away in the book Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business by my good friend Gino Wickman. For all the listeners that haven't seen this book, like, hey,
get it now.
Yeah, it is not your average business book. It is usually one CEO to the next tap. This, like your response right there, is what I always get. It's not like any other business book out there. It doesn't just talk about it. It actually explains it and gets you on your way. Now, 90% of the people that run on EOS don't use a professional certified or expert implementer like myself. So it's for everybody. But the companies that do, the 10% that do hire a coach, well, they're getting there a bit faster and a bit better than the ones that don't have any experience, obviously. But EOS is originally designed for 10 to 250 employees, call it 2 to 50 million. I think those were the original ideas that Gino had. And it absolutely works in that space. He was not wrong, but we found it works for smaller companies that haven't met that. Why not start getting organized, before a couple million in revenue or 10 people? And it works very well, much larger. In fact, I specialize in larger than target market clients. And I still have, 10, 20, $30 million clients, but I have 100, 200, 500, $700 million year businesses that want to turn like a speedboat, not a cruise ship. So it's a phenomenal system. And when you take that and then you add the mindset, which is the business sergeant mindset, like let's I know it's not life and death, but let's give a little more effort and find some other people who feel the same way, and surround ourselves with people who give a little extra in the tank. And then we create a piece of technology. Mine is Go Expand. And so if you have the military mindset, a beautiful operating system like EOS, and a piece of software to glue it all together, now we've curated a suite of tools and methodologies where if you just commit to this and everyone leans into it, we're going to be fine. Your success rate is almost guaranteed. And there's going to be some change to the team, because most teams have some of the wrong people in the wrong seats. And it's our job to put the operating system in there to identify those people with data, not just feelings, but, like what you need to actually run the company and keep the culture where it's at. So just real quick, net, I have clients that have won I think it's over 200 individual Best Place to Work awards. So out of my, 130, 40, whatever graduates, a good 50 or 60 of those have won multiple years, in one case, like 8 or 9 in a row. So you can't just write a check to get one of those awards, Rob. You need to have every email at your company given an engagement survey, and it's anonymous. And if your clients don't like your comp plan or the kind of coffee in the break room, they're going to say to the Business Journal. So like, you're not going to win these awards with people that aren't really engaged. So let's just make this clear. In order to qualify to be a finalist, you need to be in the high 80s, mid 90s. Like, you're talking 0.5%, top 1% businesses. And a large percent of my graduates win these easily. And I've got a bunch of other people that are in the high 70s, low 80s. They're not quite there yet. But when you consider the average business is about 35, 40% engaged, that's why they have TV shows about The Office, and that stuff's funny.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. Two things you mentioned that are really interesting here. You talk about putting the pieces together, and your product, Go Expand, is only one of those pieces. And I really like that because most people who sell systems or SaaS products or any of that stuff say the SaaS products the entire answer. Here it is. And you're not professing that at all. So first of all, I really appreciate that angle. The second thing is you mentioned several times in that conversation, data, data, data. And I'm sorry, if you're doing a business and you're trying to change stuff, it has to be data driven. It cannot be feeling driven in the final end if you want to be successful. Enough said. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, what's the Jim Barksdale, the founder of Netscape, said something
Yeah,
like, opinions are great, but I like data. If all we got are opinions, let's go with mine.
yeah,
So what he was saying is like, if you don't have data, hush. Like there is a gut here, and it's my gut. And when I need to use the CEO gut, I'm going to. In the absence of data, then we're guessing. And
yeah,
guessing is usually not a scalable. Like try to bet on white or black on the roulette table in Vegas. Let me know how that works out for you after 20 spins, right? Like it's a coin flip is not exactly the odds that we want to be successful. So objective, empirical data. So in Go Expand, we have a team dashboard. We have a green, which means right person, right seat, high alignment, high performance. So if you're up and to the right, you're high aligned, high performer. That's what we're looking for. We want to see the scatter shot up and to the right. If you're down and to the left, that means you're low engagement, low performance. You are in the red. Like, I don't
yeah,
care if you laugh at Rob's dad jokes or compliment his haircut or any of those things we do to become, friendly or relational with our coworkers. If everyone, not everyone, because it's harmful if everyone sees this, but if the right people that manage you see that you are nowhere close to the line, they have to decide, listen, is this a solvable thing? Can we get Rob there? Or do we need to liberate Rob so he can go find his people? Because we're clearly not it from a core value cultural standpoint, right? That's not a good fit with him. And the performance at the same time, he's an amazing guy. We love this guy. It just isn't a fit, or he was a fit 2 years ago, but he's had some life epiphanies and he doesn't think the same things. Like, my
yeah,
point is, we're human. We're all
yeah,
perfectly imperfect. So, like, what is the version of weird that works at this company? Core values.
yeah,
What is the version of performance? Like 10 units? No, we do 20 here. 10 is for rookies. Don't apply if you can't start at 15 units. So my point is you have to decide, and then you have to curate a team of other people who want that same thing. And the
yeah,
thing is, if you only have 30, let's say 130 people at your company, there's like billions of people in the world, like what, 7, 8 billion people in the world. I like your odds. Why are we hanging on to people that are miserable? They don't get it. They don't want it. They don't have the capacity, or GWC. And that's an EOS acronym. So back to your earlier comment, like, no, Go Expand is industry or agnostic. It's operating system. Now, obviously, I'm a huge EOS nerd, and that's the first operating system that I got a license with. But I'm in negotiations with other operating systems to get Go Expand to put their terms in there. So regardless of whatever system you choose, or if you want to don't have a named operating system, you want to do your own, we have open naming conventions. So if you don't like shout outs or high fives, you like kudos, change the term inside the software to make it customized for
yeah,
your business. I'm just the tool guy. I don't profess to have all the answers. However, I've curated the tool set from high level experience of doing this exact same thing and hearing, boy, if someone ever put these people tools with the operating system tools and an AI, wow, that would be a heck of a tool. Well, so like most entrepreneurs, your clients ask you for a new product long enough, you might just bring it to them. And in this case, I did.
By the way, I have to share this with you. We got to about 20 minutes without those two letters being mentioned called AI. So that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, there you go.
You just can't get to a conversation anymore in marketing or business without it coming up. That's the first thing. Also, we were talking about, it's interesting when you talk about businesses and things like core values and culture, because I think there's been a lot of shift. And I'm going to give you a good example. His has been with our company 39 years as of next month. He will retire there. I guarantee it. My father, before he retired, was with his company 28, 29 years as CFO in the insurance business. Yep. I was in healthcare for 21 years, which is still long. And now what we're seeing is, and I'm not sure if it's the companies or the employees, and I mean the younger generation in particular, or both, which I suspect, but that loyalty is kind of gone out the window. I mean, I hear this a lot. New people come into our company, I'm not going to sure who they're, and they're just not the same. And I hear this from friends, I hear this from colleagues, and I'm not so sure this whole, you and I both work at home, probably. I have for 15 years, and that works for me. But I'm not so sure in a lot of businesses that works. And we're on a mandate right now coming out of all the post-COVID stuff years ago in Ontario, where we're seeing the banks telling people they can't work at home anymore. We're seeing the governments telling people back into the office you go. And all these younger employees are all complaining and saying, but. And my response is, what we all worked in an office before. So I'm not so sure where the problem is, but there's definitely a problem there.
Well, there's been a shift for years. I would argue the last even 20 or 30 years,
Yeah,
let's call it
yeah.
late 90s, the idea of 30 years of service and a gold watch. I think the dot-coms pretty much like it stopped
Mhm.
there. So I think we've already got a few decades under that premise. And it's pretty rare, quite frankly, to get those examples. It's even more rare to your point. So, like, back to the corona and all that government overreach and flattening economies and making like
Yeah.
I think we're all starting to learn from that. Hopefully there'll be some learning from that. The government's involved, so let's not get too excited about that, but let's focus in the private sector where we actually control
Yep.
our destinies, right? Like back to the like the macro level things, like all we can do is react to the insanity, right? From our politicians who are lost on both sides of the aisle pretty clearly right now. But what we can do for 8 hours is provide a place that makes sense. So if we say we're an in-person company and that's a deal breaker, you will not, or hybrid or whatever we work. It is what it is. There's a reason why teams that share like physical proximity with each other outperform most teams that
Yep.
are
No,
remote.
no question.
But there are remote teams, like if you're doing repetitive work, remote workers can actually be more productive without the knock, knock, knock. Hey, got a dumb question for you. If you're talking about collaborative work, complex work, then in person is going to be superior. I mean, that's what the studies say. But back to the kids are like, that's their experience. I have kids in high school during Corona, and I wouldn't wish their high school experience on anyone. Like it was horrible. Like there's a whole generation Z, like their entire school experience, no matter where they
Yeah.
were, elementary school, middle school, high school, or college, the entire chain was uplifted. So like I feel for all those people because what they thought normal was not normal. And the fact in Canada, you guys are still dealing with this, how many years later, like nothing happens quick with large bureaucratic organizations like your government or our government. So back to the private sector where we can actually decide if I'm going to spend a third of my life with a team and they say companies like a family, no, most families are dysfunctional. Like I actually think giving, like if you're lucky enough to have a great home life, right? Good for you. That you're actually that's not as uh, uh, That doesn't happen as often as you think it does, right? You should be very thankful if you have a beautiful family and a great support system and everything's healthy. It's not perfect, right? Again, we're humans, we're all perfectly imperfect. But to go to 8 hours a day, the place that gives you your money to fuel your life in your family and your dreams and your aspirations, and you go to this place that's dysfunctional and up means down and left is right. And I can't speak the truth. I got 3 kids in college. I can't afford that. You see where I'm going with this? Now we just start playing the game versus actually showing up and this is how I feel and this is my decision and my experience and the data says this, let's do that. And everything becomes a conversation or a committee versus actual execution. And all I'm saying is you're deciding to behave that way because your culture, quite frankly, Rob, is determined by the worst behavior the leadership team is willing to tolerate.
Oh, so true on that one. And by the way, I hate to put it this way, the worst behavior the leadership team tolerates and the exceptions they make for themselves. And we've seen cases like this. I hate to mention the famous Coldplay kiss, but there's one. And then no sooner did that happen than I picked up the paper last week, and there was another CEO in the tech space that resigned because he got involved with the subordinate. And you think they would have learned by now, but that's a that's another story. Go expand. What if I decide and I come to you? I'm company A. Hmm, I'm making 50 million dollars a year profit or in revenue, which fits in your requirement. What do I need to do to get involved, and what am I looking at in cost, and how do we go about the process?
Yeah, well, the first step is just go to goexpand.com and there's a demo video you can watch. It's a long one, or you can just check out the web pages and I've got the demo video chopped up into smaller segments.
Mhm.
We also have a sandbox environment where you can go in and just play around. It's a fictitious company called Figment. And I did that because anytime I was interested in a software tool and you sign up for a free 30-day trial, because that's how all SaaS is, and ours is no different. Try before you buy. That's fair. It's a blank environment. It's very uninspiring to say, wow, I bet this would be great if we put all our data in here. So you really, I wanted to create an environment where people could see and a small 17-person company called Figment, but it tells a story. You got Derek Hall, low and to the left, not aligned, not performing. And then we've got, Casey Jang, who's brand new. She's here 45 days and she's almost already in the green because she's great on alignment, almost there on performance. And then we have this high performing team that's all in the top scatter plot, the 10 range. They're just crushing it. And when I have green and red, I don't have to be a mid manager who went to Harvard and got an MBA. I could just be
Yeah.
a regular guy or gal who got promoted. And now I have 6 people that I manage and I'm not properly trained. Like, how about we just use a tool across the organization that's fair and just and treats everybody the same? And that's where you're at. I need you to own your performance, Derek Hall. Everyone else is up here safely, well in the green, doing life. And here you are at the bottom depths. You cannot even see the green line from your red area. This is 8 quarters in a row, Derek. I think we're going to call it because
Yeah.
if we hang on to the wrong person, there's no opportunity for the right person who's probably suffering at another organization and would thrive at ours. So what I'm trying to do is just get rid of the subjectivity because that's the different teams that I coach on EOS. Some people just get it, and some people don't get it at all. So if I could speed that up with a tool that says green is good, red is bad and these are the rules. I have just hyper simplified a complex environment to a simple environment. Now, because of that simplicity, our ability to scale and adopt and implement goes way up because it's do this or do it somewhere else. This is how we do it. I need you to opt into our vision, including using this tool and following these rules. And if you're not okay with that, we're going to wish you good luck. And eventually, once we make that deal enough times, we'll curate a team. A 50 million team is probably 100, 150 people, maybe 200 people,
Yeah.
lower if at a higher margin, higher ticket business. But like that's a complex business. And business is hard enough when we're singing off the same sheet of music. If we're not singing off the same sheet of music, it sounds like crap, regardless of what great singers we all are. So I think an operating system in general is like opt all the way into the operating system or opt all the way out. And that simplicity says, okay, this is our vision, right? These are our people. This is our data. This is our issues. This is our process. This is our traction. And those 6 key components of EOS, well, they handle the 136 repetitive issues in business. So if I can solve those issues at the root, and that's what EOS does, we can stop solving all the dumb issues that are downstream by causing those roots to firm up. So mindset, operating system, tool, because the tool adds visibility, which adds peer pressure. And healthy peer pressure is a good thing. Like, I would never want to post someone's result. They might be offended. Like, if people can fail in silence, they'll happily do so. But if my L is going to go up on the scoreboard, or people are going to see if there's a stack rank and I'm at the bottom, and that doesn't sit with me, I'm going to fix the performance and rise up that and go where I belong, or I'm just going to leave. Either one of those would be super healthy for the team that is in the green and here for the right reasons.
And I think what the tool does is it removes biases. I think that's the big thing. So how many times have we seen it in companies? I can't let him go because he's the director's daughter. The nepotism problem. Been there, done that. Awful. And the director has got 2 or 3 people or kids on the payroll, but they're not going anywhere because of the director's daughter, right? We've all seen that. I can't let him go because he's a racial minority and he'll sue us. Well, now you've got data in a tool that backs up your findings that you can say, Mr. Lawyer, but I have a valid case. Here it is. And that's part of our problem too, is businesses and cultures are an absolute disaster because here's the rules, here's the exceptions, and you're rolling your eyes, but you know where I'm coming from.
No,
and here's the best.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're not wrong, and I'm rolling my eyes because just the simple, just letting that thought live is offensive to me, and I'm offended from the stage of like, yeah, we could adopt that smooth brain, low effort. Oh well, it's always been that way, or for all those things you listed, they're all valid reasons why people are afraid to do anything, or they're, you know what I mean? They're just kind of here. We're taking up space. We're ingesting oxygen. The plants are working hard to make for us, but it's not a good ROI for the plants or us, right? In this, so what I'm just saying is, in a world that has gone kind of crazy, if we can just create an environment that is actually very commonsensical, it's fair, it's just, we treat people with love and respect, but we also are here for a common goal. And if we're all going to leave our number ones, which is usually our family, for 8 to 10 hours a day, we could spend 8 to 10 hours away doing wonderful things with wonderful people, dragging back oodles of happiness and fulfillment and cash to go spread around number oneville. Or we could spend 8 to 10 hours and be miserable and come home and not be present for our loved ones because we're sad or we're frustrated or we're sending TPS reports at 2 a.m. And that's the culture.
Done that too.
Yeah. So like my point is, you get to choose. If you own a company and you say, I want to be a world-class company, how do we do that? Well, the first thing is you decide we want to be a world-class company. And the second thing you do is you don't tolerate anything less than world-class behavior or performance. And if you don't know how to figure that out, you should do business with somebody that's what they do. And like the reality is, my very best teams built Go Expand, not me. I wish it did this. Oh, if someone ever did this, like, why is this not there? So like you listen to the problem for long enough, finally I got sick of listening to the problem, decided to do something about it and curated 5 or 6 people apps, a business operating system app, and an agentic AI agent for your company. And we can talk about what that does, which is wild. Those 3 things together, that's what Go Expand is. And there really isn't anything like it in the market. It's unique. And it's very popular because it works.
Yeah. And how long does it take you to onboard somebody in the Go Expand? Is it
About
an
a
easy
half hour, yeah. My staff, half hour with the team. We can send a spreadsheet and do a data dump. We can do a mass download. We can migrate out of a. You give us access to existing. I just talked to my technology partners today.
Mm.
It won't be ready probably at launch, but we're working on, imagine this, an AI bot that'll migrate you automatically. So that's kind of
Wow.
what we're working on. But right now, there's a bunch of manual stuff, but my team does that. We don't charge for it. We're happy to get people involved. So it's very simple, intuitive software. In fact, 80% of our clients onboard themselves. There's all the videos and explainers and things, and it's very intuitive. But for the folks that are busy and they want some help, we're happy to get them on board. And a couple of half-hour conversations is it's all it's taken to get hundreds of people on the platform.
And what are we starting at cost-wise if you want to
We,
get on the platform?
Absolutely. So we have an essential version, which is just the business operating system stuff, plus our alignment, performance, and engagement scoring. And that's the simple one that does all the stuff the other operating systems do for the most part, or most of them. And that starts at $14 and at scale gets down to $9. And then we have an elite version that adds all those people tools and AI, dashboarding, unlimited personality assessments, all the stuff, and that starts at 25 a user and bottoms out about $18 a user. So it's very affordable, and it's literally four or five, six different apps in one platform. So oftentimes our clients end up in a net saving because they're canceling some other tools that they're lightly
Yep.
engaged in. So the other thing is mind share, Rob. It's much easier for your employees to be 80 to 100% engaged in one tool than 20% engaged in four or five tools.
Yeah, it is. And I think one of the things companies don't do well is they get all these tools. And then when they look at it, they're using 2% here, 3% here. And you look at what the tools do. Well, why'd you get this tool? I needed that 1%. And they don't look at all in one tools and they wonder why this is costing them four times what it should be. So, I mean, every company is guilty. I've gone in and audited companies in the marketing space and I just shake my head some days. Did you know you had these 20 licenses? Oh, what are they? Do you realize you're paying them on a monthly basis? Uh, that's where that money's going. We've all heard it, right?
Oh yeah, you think it's bad in your personal budget? Like we have three Netflix accounts. Go to
Yeah,
a
yeah,
$50 million company and take a look. Yeah, you're not wrong. But again, that goes back to the mindset. If we treated the company money like it was our money, none of that would occur, or a much smaller amount would occur, right? Uh,
yeah.
so I think someone needs to own that. We need to measure that, and we need to make it more efficient. And what's a policy? What's a good way to make sure we're not spending our profit on unused licenses, and we put that into the profit sharing pool or the President's Club
Yeah,
trip? I'd like to
yeah.
see the money go back to the team rather than to some vendor who hasn't, like, don't send them anything. They've been paying us for 7 years and they haven't logged in. So like there are companies that have a do not contact list. That company would be on that list for that reason, right? Which is not a good place to be.
No, so true. Is there any setup fee on that per user cost, I assume, or a minimum?
No, there's 20 user minimum. It's a team platform. So we find,
Mhm.
if you get a little under 20, that's fine, but you're paying for 20. And that's like the tool is not for everybody.
Yeah,
And for the people that see value, it's just the reality is it's a powerful team platform. And when you're under 20, you're getting some benefit, but you're not really tapping in to the power of it. So if you're a much smaller team, probably some other tools that might be relevant, or just understand that you might be over that $25 per person number. But at the end of the day, like I always say, if we can't 10x this, we're not doing it right. I think 100 ROI investment, I think, is more apt. So like I get it's $24 a month or whatever. But the idea is like everyone on the platform should be finding thousands in every week So it is an amazing ROI. But more importantly, it's the mind share. It's not about the money. It's about
Yeah.
uncomplicating. When you have an AI agent and you put 300 company documents, including your best customers' likes
Yeah.
and dislikes, all the performance, the brand standards, every policy known to mankind, the handbook, you name it, the kitchen sink, it's in there. When you update a process, you pull the other one out and get rid of it, and you put the new one in there. The old answer isn't even available. So I know a lot of people listen to this that work at big companies, like, well, they're using the wrong spreadsheet. No, we're on version 1.4. This is 1.3. Like it happens. So the idea
It
is
happens
when
all the
someone,
time.
yeah, all the time. So when I have a question about reimbursement, and let's say, Rob, you're the HR person, but you're an HR executive. You're hiring, you're firing, you're retaining, you're rewarding, you're recognizing, you're budgeting, right? You're doing all the tools. So I say, hey, I've got a really deep question. It's not easy for you to find. You say, I'll get back to you. You give it to somebody, they're new. They call paychecks ADP. Oh, what state are you in? Another loop. Then it comes back. Then you come back to me maybe 4 or 5
Yeah.
days later. That's 4 or 5 people. That's probably 8 moves.
Yeah.
Now I just say, what's this policy and to go expand, and it gives me the official policy. So if you have a gatekeeper or a keymaster and they put the company brain and they curate that, that's inside. That's
Mhm.
firewall. That's not the outside. We can use Chat GTP for agentive, creating things, doing research, scraping, writing code. Agentic AI, very important, everyone. Agentic AI is where you need to start. That's the agent. It's not creative, it's fact based. Like instead of those 3 or 4, 5 or 6 different conversations, one conversation takes 10 or 15 seconds to see little dots thinking, and then boom, there it is. The neat thing about this is after a while, if someone asks the AI bot an answer and it doesn't know, bring that issue to your next meeting and say, hey, I found a hole. Then we figure it out. We put the policy in there. After doing that so many times, there's not much that isn't in the brain. And then once we get to like a fully curated 95% of what you want to know is at your fingertips and it's updated as we go, oh boy. Think about giving everybody 2 or 3 hours a day where they're not being disrupted answering teammates' questions. We put our answers into the brain and they ask the brain. And if the brain doesn't have it, then we fill it in. That
Yeah.
right there, if your company isn't using agentic AI, which basically adds 40 to 50 IQ points to all your employees because of what it does and the speed it brings, you are asking your competitors to run circles around you by staying out of this. So this is definitely the hot conversation, but agentic is the safe, not scary one that everyone's leveraging or everyone's about ready to leverage or gonna leverage in the next year or so. Agentive AI is the scarier one that replaces humans and thinks and gets things wrong and doesn't build relationships and doesn't have good discernment. So we need human powered AI. So we still need humans to build the relationships and make decisions. But if you're not harnessing AI and your competitors are, they are 40 to 50 IQ points per employee smarter. And I can tell you, with enough quarters, that's not good for you. So it's an easy way to catch back up if you're not already running a workspace through OpenAI, like you're already behind.
Yeah, I agree. I so agree with that. You better be in the AI game or you got big problems in today's business world. No question on that one. I have to dive into one question that comes to mind. You've got this great platform and you've got all these documents. What are you doing to secure the platform?
Well, it's based under Amazon's architecture. So the structure of the app is like,
AWS.
yeah,
Yeah,
so an AWS, so it's single sign-on through Microsoft and Google. I mean, when was the
good.
last time Amazon was down? You know what I mean? Like it's the medical transcription is what we use for the AI, which is the highest level of transcription.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
more expensive than one of these other ones, but and go expand when it listens to your issue ideation. You hit the microphone, you have this great conversation. When you're done, hit the magic wand. It does the summary. It's like key takeaways, high points, next steps. It listens. If Rob or Chris took a to do, a task, that's due for next week, it'll hear us. So it comes up with next steps. It says a to do, and Go Expand will issue your task and put it in your account without you having to do that. It listens. Rob make a commitment to Chris to do this by then. That pulls right up. Now you'll have to go in there and add some detail, put some notes in there, but you don't have to stop the meeting and input the to do. You just have the conversation and you look, yep, it's in there. So, being able to use a microphone to ask it questions or to tell it to do things when you're in your car, you're in the field, you're, heading to your next meeting, it's just a piece of technology that works and it's modern. For instance, we have like high fives, which is praise that we give to our employees when they do. Like, who doesn't want to get a high five from a supervisor, right, or a teammate? But I can go to the feedback board and I can see that Rob got a high five, and I can give it a like, and you get 5 more points. So that's like a feature that I put in there because the like and shares and all that social media and conditioning, like, I want this app to look like something that's fun to be in, right? I can see my scoreboard, it's visualized. I can see I'm trending up. I can see all these green numbers. I can see my performance score is over 100%. I can see my alignment score is like 70, 80, like way up there. And I can see my engagement, is in the high 70s, 80s. And when all three numbers are like that, I'm good. And if I have visibility to all my people's alignment, performance, and engagement scores, and the engagement score, only employee is allowed to answer that. The boss can't say, you're happy here. Here's a 5 for this question. Oh, you love it here. I'm a great boss. Here's a 5. So the app has permissions, and the supervisor says, this is how I think these things we've already agreed upon. What do you say? I can also go back to my desktop and I can take all my 5 engagement questions and put it to 1. And I can be super low engaged right after being super high engaged last week. And wouldn't you want to know if you've got a bad boss out there? You ever heard, Rob, people don't quit bad companies, they quit bad bosses? Heard
Oh
that?
yeah, I've done
Well,
it. So
it's
there you
true.
go.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. So I want to look out for bad boss behavior. If I'm an owner, I'm an executive, middle managers, the sergeants in the military world, they're the ones that actually spend more time with the troops and accomplish the mission. So I want to empower my sergeants, your sergeants at your company, to have the tools, have the marching orders, know where their authority starts and ends, and be able to execute for you. And I want you to not be micromanaging them, but to look down from above and just manage by exception. Oh man, I looked at all your dashboards. You're doing great. There's one area I would like to discuss. So instead of having this hour-long conversation on stuff that doesn't need to be talked about, because oftentimes when we engage in those conversations, some tasks come out and they're not getting us closer. They're busy work. We can just get right to it, the essence of what I'd like you to work on, and then you can just fix that while maintaining the excellence you've achieved everywhere else. Like a much better way to go about this, yeah?
Yeah, so true. And it's so true about bosses. And bad bosses actually let good employees go because their agenda is not always on the company's bottom line, whether that's revenue, whether that's service and the service oriented. I find more often than not, it's the reason they're bad is they're on a personal agenda, and that's a problem.
Or
And
they're a threat. They're actually a higher performer than the manager is. A weak manager will never curate a team of brilliant people because they're threatened by their very existence. A great leader makes another great leader who makes another great leader who makes another great whoever's quote
yeah,
that is.
I'll share with you a story, and I won't mention where or how, but I used to have a boss where if I wanted to get financials approved, I would bury them in the 6th paragraph of the email because I knew she'd approve it after reading the first paragraph. And I'd get comments like, "Oh, where did that come from?" I said, "You approved it." "Oh, but," and I'm saying, "No, did you or didn't you?" And I knew damn well he wasn't going to read the 6th paragraph. So I bury stuff in there, and it would be like, but, and I'm like, "Yeah, you read it. You sent me back a note saying everything in that email was approved. Thank you very much. Goodbye."
That's a very human behavior, right?
Yep.
What she should have said is like, all right, This has happened a few times. I've got an email from Rob. It's long. Well, now she could just use AI saying, "Has Rob buried any financial requests into this long email?" And it'd be like, "Yes." Line
Yeah.
6 is filled with $10,000 worth of ask. Like, so again, that goes back to like, uh,
10,000.
you know what I mean? Like, if she would have had
Exactly.
AI and just threw it and asked it a question, you would have got caught. So like, great. So like, I totally understand in the environment, you're just trying to get things done. Like, I'm
Yep.
guessing like this isn't, I'm not hurting the company. Yes, I'm kind of subverting the process. I'm
Yep.
like
Yep. Yep.
the velvet rope isn't for me. Let me unbuckle that and buckle that behind me as I go through the VIP line. Totally like, again, like, I don't know, maybe not live in a core value. Maybe your core value is like be industrious, be entrepreneurial, figure it out. No red tape. Like if that's your core value, plus for you. Like you're totally crushing that.
Yeah. But
However, that's up to her. If she signs her name and sends back an approve, she owns everything in that email, right? So like,
I know.
hey, like I get it, you're not happy, but like those are the rules, and that's that executive's shortcoming or shortcoming from not doing it the right way.
Yeah, unfortunately. Um, is there anything that we need to touch on that you haven't touched on, or have we pretty well?
Well, I think we covered a lot of ground here. Hopefully, it was in some semblance that made sense for everybody. We jumped around a little, but that is a very entrepreneurial conversation, and business isn't a nice little tidy thing that starts at 1 and ends at 10, right? So
Never does. No.
if if it was a little crazy but informative, great. I'm happy to have contributed and would love to hear from anyone. My email address is chris@goexpand.com. So if someone has a question or a statement, love to hear from any of your listeners. But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, like if you're asking for like what I left out here, a parting shot, I think I'll just go back to like you have the company you deserve. Like this
Yeah.
isn't an accident. I need people to like own it. So if you're an owner, a CEO, and a C-suite, somebody that actually calls shots, you might just want to decide, should we keep this really hard and let people kind of have their own version of it and try to sew that together? Or should maybe we should just like all go to the same location on the same bus? If that sounds logistically more simple, then I would really challenge people. If you haven't got your hands on Traction, get the book. That'll be your entry point to a business operating system like EOS, which is phenomenal. So have an operating system, have a mindset, and get yourself a tool that glues it all together. When you got those
Yeah.
three things, I think you've got a fighting chance to grow and scale and do it with style. Without those things, my experience is there's a lot of good intentions and there's very poor execution. So like that's my actual experience in the trenches working with some of the best brands in America. And some of those companies didn't start that way. Turnarounds, like I have enough data to tell you those are the three things you need. So believe me or not, at your own peril. But if anybody wants to have further discussions, I'm happy to nerd out. This doesn't work for me, as you can tell. I don't think it is for you either,
No,
Rob. I love what
not
I
at all.
do. I just
Yeah.
love these conversations and love everything about what I get to do. Pinch me, right? I've blended my personal and professional life. So
Mm.
maybe we'll leave like that. Are you balancing or are you blending? Maybe I'll leave people with that one.
Two good thoughts. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate all the time. You have a wonderful day and good luck with Go Expand.
Thank you so much, Rob. Appreciate it.
This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to Chris for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.